I do want to pivot just for a second to
Diabolically.
Coach of the Year. Andrew, I'll start with you here. I think for me, obviously, it's a couple of, frankly, a lot of teams we've talked about already are the coaches that are going to be in the running here. I think Shea Ralph is immediately the name that comes to mind from Vanderbilt. I know Don Staley, I think, has an intriguing case here. I think Brenda Freese has a low-key good case with all the injuries Maryland has had to deal with. Obviously, Gino, Corey Close, just in terms of the top teams. Andrew, for you, where are you kind of leaning on this?
It's hard because I think, frankly, there's a couple of mid-major coaches that should probably be in consideration here too. Like, I think Rochelle Turner has done an amazing job at Murray State. They're 24-3, and I think out of any mid-major, I think they probably have one of the best chances with Charnice Curry-Jelks and Hallie Pook to knock off a team in the NCAA tournament. I think Ayla Gazzardo's done an unbelievable job with a previously DOA McNeese team that's 24-4 and going to win the Southland. She jumped from one Southland program to another. Her last team, Southeast Louisiana, is 4-22 after winning the Southland last year. Now she's taken another team and done it. Out of all of the mid-major coaches, I think Jory Collins at North Dakota State has the best case. 25-2, has finally seemingly knocked South Dakota State and South Dakota both off the perch of dominating the Summit League, which, you know, if you know anything about Aaron Johnston's Jackrabbits, man, that's been their
Dakota ball is wicked, man. Those Dakotas,
UConn having a lay down path in the Big East. South Dakota State has sleepwalked through that conference for a decade now. And to be the in-state, or not the in-state, but the cross-state rival, finally do what you're doing. And this, if you are able to make the NCAA tournament, because it's probably a one bid league this year, even though I still think it should be two given South Dakota and North Dakota State's nets, but that's a separate conversation. If NDSU makes the tournament, it's the first time they've ever made it. I think that deserves and warrants a discussion. However, as much as I want to put Corey Close in here, because like I said, it's only the third time, if they see this through, it's only the third time ever that a Big Ten team will have gone undefeated in conference play. The last two were Carolyn Peck's 99 Purdue team that won the national title. And then this kind of funky 2014-15 Maryland team that went undefeated in Big Ten play, but they just ran up against your UConn Buzzsaw Greer and Stewie in 14-15. If I got to vote, this is so unoriginal, bro, but I think it's Don Staley. This is just another, to me, it's just another year, and I said it on Sunday, of Dawn Staley flipping the bird to everyone who had, concerns with how she constructs her rosters and how she builds them. It just feels like shades of 24. You get bounced out by Caitlin, and everyone's like, ha, 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 you have two bigs and you can't shoot any threes. And your response is like, all right, bet we're going to shoot 40% from three as a team the next year. This past season, it was, ha, 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 what did you do? You don't know how to develop guards. You have a bunch of players that haven't stuck on WNBA rosters, and now I would argue they have the strongest backcourt that they've had since that 2020 team when it was Ty Harris and Henny. Like, you've got Raven Johnson, who, as you mentioned, Greer, I think the statistics just do not match how good of a player she is. It's a really hard argument to make, and I understand people are going to go, triple single, right? Like, I know that that's out there. This is a pure eye test one, man. It really is. This is a ball knower pick. You have to watch the games and know ball to know what she does out there. You cannot box score watch with Raven Johnson. You simply just can't do it. Then you have Tanaya Latson, and you have Tessa Johnson, who has probably stepped into the role as, I would argue, maybe the best guard that Dawn's had since Ty Harris. I mean, they're 27-2 and 13-1. They're going to win the SEC again in a year where we thought they'd be down. There were a lot of question marks around this team, man. There were. Ashlyn Watkins got hurt. Chloe Kitts got hurt. Like, it was fair to wonder.
The how this was going to happen, if it was going to happen, was a valid question.
Think we can't lose sight of that, because where realistically did we think this team was going to be at the start of the year? I had them at a Final Four ceiling, but I don't think I had them at a Final Four floor. I think maybe they had the look of a team that had the potential to get bounced out in the Elite Eight maybe earlier if someone caught him on a bad day. But like, you got a 6'6" French freshman, and you're not even using her. Like, you don't need to. There's just something about that I think is very hard to ignore. And when we talk about Dawn Staley, the tactician, we talk about Dawn Staley, the X's and O's coach, I think this is one of her best coaching jobs. And I do think that's worth something. I don't know if that means a full vote, but I hate to go against Shea Ralph here, but
Muted.
When you two met. And I think that matters. I do.
Greer, where are you leaning right now?
Come on, UConn. Come on.
I mean,
that goblin mask is talking to you. Shea Ralph's here.
It doesn't, because nothing changes about him. Nothing changes.
I mean Shea Ralph.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Shea, I mean, it's UConn connection.
Yeah.
She said, "Okay, well, bring that mask out." Now that you mentioned it,
yeah. I mean, yes. Do I think Shea has an incredibly compelling case? Absolutely. I do think that regular season loss to South Carolina. Was it? It was at CLA though, right? Or no?
Yeah,
it was at CLA. Yes.
Okay, yeah, it was at CLA, which we know is the hardest
brutal
place to play in college basketball, women's college basketball.
Easily.
And yeah, it was a blowout. They lost by 30 or something like that.
Yeah, 103-74.
Yeah. 28. Am I doing the math right? 29.
Nasty word.
Quite. Mm-hmm. Sorry, George Bush, you're gonna pay.
We majored in words.
Kids really
however, comma. This is one where I'm okay with anyone kind of winning, if I'm being honest. Having had a front seat for what UCLA has put together this year, I think I might have to go Corey Close. I think I'm leaning Corey Close.
I have a hard time going against Corey here too.
Yeah, I think had a lot of turmoil in the portal from a season ago, right? This is a totally different team, honestly. There's a lot of pieces that stayed, but they've also incorporated 2 new pieces in Charlize Leisure-Walker and Gianna Neepkin seamlessly. I think players like Gabriela Jaquez and Kiki Rice having their best seasons ever as Bruins says a lot. And again, this is a team that is going like when rubber has really had to meet the road. This is a team that only goes like 7 deep.
Mm-hmm.
Right, they're not playing a bunch of. They had a girl that was on the softball team on their team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they've more than held their own. Kind of a down year for the conference. That's where I kind of like wrestle with the decision. Right? Is like the reality is like your crosstown rival's best player was not available this year.
Does that mean the whole conference is down, though? Like, Iowa and Michigan will probably be in the Sweet 16. One of them is likely going to be in the Elite Eight. Minnesota's probably going to shock the hell out of somebody and go to the second weekend. Like, I guess I just bristle a little at the notion that the Big Ten is the Big Ten of old, right? Like, the Big Ten of 4 years ago where we were like, okay, show us something when we get to March. It doesn't feel like that conference anymore.
I don't know that I'm willing to go that far because what happened, like when Maryland first came to the Big Ten and just dominated it for the first 10 years of their admission into the conference or whatever it was, like it was a sustained period of dominance to a completely new conference. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the Big Ten this year. I think like because I see them so much, I don't want to be biased too, right? Like the 2 teams in my market play in the Big Ten. So I've just seen a lot of them this year. But like, again, UCLA is running away with the conference, the regular season conference title. So it does kind of feel like that, right? But again, I still think like in NIL era, you're trying to make it back to the mountaintop being the Final Four. You're doing it on a very, very thin bench and team. I have been, and again, top 5 on both sides of the ball with defense and offense for UCLA. I think I'm just going to go Corey Close.
I like that.
Can't go wrong.
Let me ask this before we go. Does Katie Abramson-Samuelson have a case here at Georgia? She was on the hot seat this year. She had 2 awful years back to back in the SEC.
I think if you're putting that in the conversation, you also have to have Krista Gerlich in the conversation.
That's another one.
So
this is also a tough one.
So
honestly.
I think it could be like I have if someone was to make the argument, I'm not mad at either of those, frankly. I mean, like in terms of like if we're talking like program turnarounds, like I mean those are probably the 2 most glaring ones over the course of this season. Like in the major
ASU.
Oh, that's
Oh yeah, dude. Molly Miller's in this conversation. Yeah,
100%. They're kind of right on the bubble right now. If they go
0 when they're on the bubble.
This is just like a word for all 80s. It's just time to start investing in your women's basketball program. You can go places that you've never been as an athletic department if you do the right thing, and not just do. It's not even just like it's the right thing. It's the timing, all of it. Like
it's just right. It's the decision you need to make. It's not even. No, Andrew. I'm not mad at. Yeah, I'm not mad at like that tier and that kind of like archetype of coaches. Obviously, you have the ones at the top, that we discuss and the mid majors as well. But the idea of, and I'm fighting for my life out here, and you won. Yeah. Like there's something to that. I
see Molly Miller like passing out flyers on camp. You know what I'm saying? Like there's real. When we talk about like college coaching, right? Like and all that goes into it.
I'll be honest, I don't think, just from a vibes perspective, I don't think there's a better like football basketball tandem than Molly Miller and Kenny Dillingham. They got
the college feel on lock. Like it also makes sense with
Arizona. It's like that average SEC couple meme.
Yeah. Yeah. And it really fits in Arizona State of all schools.
They both do. Like she's got a very Arizona State look. He also has a very Arizona State look.
It just the PEMDAS just adds up real easily. Like
and then you have like the cursed Funhouse mirror version of it, which is Lane Kiffin and Kim Mulkey.
Dear God.
I will never get over Kim Mulkey basically walking Lane out like he's a pool boy on a leash when he first arrives in Baton Rouge.
She would not let him go.
She's like,
it's the funniest picture, man. I'm so sorry.
She thought they got a new team manager. Is what that was.
It is crazy, man. It's crazy. But like there's some great ones. Like Kim Barnes-Arico's in here. Like that team's a top 10 team. We didn't think maybe 16th, 17th this year. I had them. I didn't have them in the top 10. I didn't have them almost beating friggin' UConn at the start of the year.
And if you have her,
and almost beating UCLA for that matter too. Both those games were 3-point games. Like there's this. It's a shame because actually, you know what? No, it's not a shame at all because you know what? I want the Final Four to be a real cream of the crop scenario, and I think 3 of these 4 teams more or less are locks for the Final Four. I think UConn, UCLA, and South Carolina, something catastrophic is going to happen where 1 or 2 or all of those teams do not end up in Phoenix come April. But I think this tournament, even from the early rounds, is going to be a freaking gauntlet. I mean, last year, for instance, you looked at the mid-majors last year and like there was a gap. Like you could tell there was a gap in
kind of to wait till the Sweet 16-ish, pretty much.
It was a tournament in which you could kind of go on autopilot for the first weekend, kind of tune into the men. You knew it was going to be sort of chalky, and then you get over into this. But like looking at this, Princeton or Nebraska in the first 4 at the 6-11, they could get Texas Tech. Texas playing a bad game. Rhode Island could absolutely get Notre Dame. Clemson and my boy Poppy Clipboard can absolutely get by USC in a 10-7. North Carolina as a 5 seed against a potential Mississippi State, Colorado first 4 feels diabolical. Do not underestimate Rice of all teams. Lindsay Edmonds, if you do not have her name on your coaches to watch for power conference jobs, She's there. They play a down Bama team, or at least projected to play a down Bama team with Charlie Cream's bracketology. Fairfield and Georgia as a 6-11. And I know Fairfield hasn't been as good as they've been in the past, but I think if you catch Georgia on a bad night, you could do that. Shoot, Georgia ends up with 2 good games. I could see them getting by Duke if those, framings hold, right? So there is a lot here in these opening 2 rounds that could go sideways really, really, really fast. And while I don't think any of the 1 seeds are in trouble, I mean, some of those 2s might.
2s and 3s, absolutely.
2s and 3s, absolutely could. Absolutely could. Could you foresee a situation or an environment where Duke is in trouble in their little pod, or TCU's in trouble in their pod? Louisville could be the type of team. I mean, if Louisville sticks and ends up with Vanderbilt, I don't think that's the case. But Louisville's a dangerous 3 seed because we know Jeff Walls is a voodoo magician in this month. I mean, yeah, man. I mean, look, this time next week, we're going to be doing a ball up top that's already going to be talking about conference tournaments. So, we can already kind of preemptively preview that, but man, this is going to be a dope ass month. I cannot wait. I'm stoked.
Yes. So if you've made it this far in the show, subscribe, because if you don't know what we do in March, the marathon begins, where we are live every single night in March on YouTube. So make sure you're tapped in for that. We're going to have boots all over. The credentials will be at the Final Four. We'll be at the regionals. We will be in our home markets. If we got a team here, we'll be the boots are going to be booting over the course of March and into April in Phoenix. So make sure you're tapped in here on the YouTube. Make sure you're tapped in at No Cap Space WBB.com. If you're listening on podcast platforms, subscribe there. Like, subscribe, share. It really does make a ton of difference. Again, here on the YouTube, we're on the way to 7K, 10K subs. Our next couple goals that we're trying to reach here over the course of the next couple months, and especially here in March. So if you're not subscribed, and make sure that you are, if you think you are, make sure you're subscribed. And we will talk to you very, very soon.